city or a town, a frown. The business of a crown, of the living that abounds, of the church and the announcements. It's doing what counts, the underground sound in a city or a town, a frown. The business of a crown, of the living that abounds, of the church and the announcements. It's doing what counts. The underground sound is the voice within, to give ear to the spirit and to flee from sin, to live for Jesus in the praise of him, by not selling out for the praise of men, to do whatever it takes, no matter what the cost, to keep pushing up the weight, carrying the cross, straight bench pressing sin, defend the word that lacks, and your best mention him, or then you gon' die. Cause the underground sound ain't a city or a town, the business of a crown, of the living that abounds, of the church and the announcements. It's doing what counts, the underground sound in a city or a town, the frown.
Oh, hey, Dumbbell here. As many of you guys know, I'm a world's strongest powerlifter. I actually just finished up reading this book from Scott Davenport's Mixed Martial Arts. I love how he gets in the mindset grit required to become successful. Scott tells a story of how it was installed in him in his early years. He then takes you through his rise through fighting, the camps, the coaches, his influences, and his opponents. He also dives into the hardships, the challenges, and injuries, everything that he needed to overcome them. Scott's virtues and faith carried him through these hardships and challenges to find your own. That mindset and that lessons that Scott learned and expressed in this book can be transferred to almost any endeavor. If you're interested in this story and how hard work, perseverance, faith can carry a person to their goals, this book is definitely for you.
All right, we're live and live. Me and Pete have on the strongest powerlifter of all time, Dumbbell. He has the world record in the total. He's lifted more than anybody else ever. I want to start this. I was thinking about this like all week. I was like, I gotta share this story just to start this out. So, my neighbor across the street, their dog ran away, right? And my wife found the dog, and so they had tags on it. We didn't know it was the neighbor's dog, but they had the tag on it. And my wife called them, said, "Hey, we got your dog," and they came over and got their dog. And the lady, who turned out to be one of my friend's mother-in-law, from another town. Like it was weird. That's irrelevant. But she brought over like 30 of these cookies. Right, this big 30 cookies. And she's like, "I want to thank you for, getting our dog back, and I'm so grateful." And I was like, "Yeah, cookies, this is awesome." I was like so stoked. I was like, "Great," right? And I go and put the cookies on the counter in the kitchen, and I go, to change or whatever I did, I don't know. And I walk back, and the plate is on the floor, upside down. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, right? What's going on the floor there? And I lift it up. I'm like, I didn't know what was going on. I lifted up. There's one cookie on the floor. And then I realized my dog ate all my damn cookies. And I took that one cookie and I went, my dog realized it was time to run for his life. And he got away from me, but I hit him with the cookie. So you guys got any stories like that? I know you guys are both dog guys. So
Not really. Nothing recently. My dog's been pretty good. I got a full-bred lab. His name's Breakfast because it's, of course, my favorite meal. And then I got another little Shih Tzu, and she's just a handful. She runs the roost, but all bark, no bite.
Yeah, like my Belgian Malinois steals food off the table anytime she gets a chance, but the other dogs don't. But that Belgian Malinois, you leave the room and there's some food close by, she's very sneaky about it, so she'll get it. I love dogs, man.
Those dogs are like crazy smart Belgian Malinois. They're like
100%.
geniuses. Yeah. That's a lot of work, isn't it, to take care of those things? I've heard that you got to work with them a lot.
That's my favorite kind of dog of all time, man. Like, we've got 4 of them, you know, Pit Bull, German Shepherd, Belgian Malinois, Husky. Belgian Malinois have the best personality. They're the smartest dogs, most loyal. Like, I love those things.
Yeah,
Seriously.
that's awesome. Yeah, great mix there, Pete. I'm really, really jealous. Those German Shepherds, I've always wanted one. I've always had Pit Bulls or Labs. I've always wanted a German Shepherd.
Yeah, the German Shepherds are very placid and, like, they're actually super calm. They're super chill. That's the dog that's nicest to everybody, and he's like 120 pounds. But the Malinois, yeah, the Malinois is a little, she can get aggressive, and then my Pit Bull, she's very aggressive with other dogs, but not with people. But she'll take out some other dogs, so you got to be careful. But great with people.
Right.
So, I don't know if you could recreate the story as good as last time, Dan, but can you tell the story of the first time you met him?
Now I'm worried, guys. I'm like, I remember meeting you, but I don't remember much, Dan. Like, I remember, you know, it was 2014 or whatever, and I'm like 22. And you're my age now. And I'm like, I don't remember much of it, but I know it was at some UPA meeting.
Yeah. Actually, it was my first meet, and, like, I was just off the wall nervous. And I ended up going, like, you know, the rules meeting started at 8, and I think I was down there, like, 7:15 with my bag. I had no clue what I was doing. Just, like, rolling on the foam roller and, like, trying not to be nervous. And I set my stuff down on one of those seats along the wall, and then I come back to it, and, like, I had my hoodie over my head, so I really wasn't looking around. And, like, I go to get something out of my bag, and I look up, and you're sitting in the chair right next to my bag, and, like, I, like, froze up. Cause, like, of course, like, I'd watch you, like, YouTube videos and, like, just try copying your deadlifts and just the whole intensity thing. Like, I idolized the shit out of you. And, like, George and all the big name guys, like, even when you went to a pro gym with the Bridges and stuff like that, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. But, like, that moment, I just, like, froze up, and I was like, oh, hi, Pete. And I, like, shook your hand, and, like, you said hi, and then you put your headphones back in, and we went along the day. But, yeah, I told Scott the story last time. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, man. I wish I would have been a little more, like, personable back then, but I was kind of, you know, I was like 22, and man. But I remember that because you totaled like 1900 your first meet, and that was about.
Actually, you brought that up at the end of the meet. You're like, told 1900 your first meet, and I was like, at that time I had no idea. I was like, yeah, I guess so. And you're like, dude, that's awesome. And I'm like, cool. I'm ready to party. Like, I didn't really have any concept of powerlifting at the time, and it was pretty crazy. But I mean, even to be surrounded by, like, you, and then, like, even those little comments like that, they, like, kind of drove me to kind of where I'm at today, I guess you could say.
That's crazy to me, but now you're literally the strongest person in the sport. So how does that feel?
Oh, that's cool. You know, sometimes I've always tried to stay a little bit humbler than most, but sometimes I don't really even, you know, think about it at all. And then the next thing you know, it's like, I guess I am the best in the world, or one of my training partners says it or something like that, and I was like, yeah, maybe I should start acting like it, you know? But, yeah, it's just another day, man.
Now, what do you attribute to all the success over the years? Because how do you go from, you know, 1900 to 2400 world record total? Like, how do you, what was the main thing that led to your success along the way? If you could pinpoint a few things.
I really think it was just the consistency, and then being smart about training. Like, slowing down when I was trying to go too fast, because I did that in the beginning. The first 2 years I did like almost 20 comps, and it was ridiculous. But I ran into a brick wall real fast, and then, like, I ended up having to slow down. I backed everything off, like broke all my form down and everything like that. And, like, even today, like, I haven't had any major injuries. But I don't know. I've discussed it with some of the smarter training partners that I have. I'm like, I don't know if it's smart for recovery-wise, or if I'm just being lazy, like, in all real honesty, to where it's like, if something doesn't feel right, I usually don't push it too much. And like, in a sense, like I don't know if that's helped me or hurt me. I mean, clearly it's helped, but how much farther could I be ahead if I was a little bit smarter? But other than that, no, it's just progression. I've also got 100 pounds of body weight too that I've added the last 6 years, so that helps. It helps quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think body weight, like people care less and less about that these days. It's just, you're strong or you're not. So it's really impressive to me to see what you've done. And from where you came, that first meet where you're nervous and like, you're looking up to me and it's like now it's the opposite. I'm looking up to you. It's like you're the strongest guy. I'm trying to pick your brain. Like I want to pick your brain and be like, what are all the things you've done to get to this point? And it's I think that's really smart as far as listening to your body, and if something's not feeling right, backing off, because like you've said, you haven't had the injuries, and that's one of the biggest things that takes people out of the game. In powerlifting, people generally have like 15 minutes of fame, and you've just sustained this progression where you keep going and going. So that's a testament to what you've done.
Yeah. I mean, I've always said that too. Nobody knows your body better than yourself, so just trust it. I've also been that guy who's like, oh, you got to push past it. You really can't overtrain. But in the long run, I knew it was going to hurt me. So the more I can give myself a break and like calm down. And really, after those first 2 years, I was broke. I barely had a job. Like I wasn't, like my personal life and financially and everything like that was not progressing at all. So I had to really hit the brakes pretty hard and like throttle back on that and find a balance. And I think that also helped me a lot more too, to where now I'm like successful in the career that I've chosen. And also I'm extremely successful in powerlifting. So before I was just tunnel vision on powerlifting and it just wrecked me almost.
Yeah, one thing that I think is super crazy is the amount of volume that you do. Like when I was talking to you, I was like, it totally blew my mind. How many sets and reps you do. Like I was like, oh God, that's like, I don't know anyone that really does that. Did Pete freeze up?
I think so.
Yeah, just talk about volume. Talk about your training.
But yeah, like I understand what you're saying. And a lot of people, like I've ran my program across, they've said the same thing, to where my volume is pretty crazy. But the closer I get to the meet, the more I back that off. So it helps. I believe that helps too. And then like it also comes along with the longevity too. Those higher reps are gonna do nothing but strengthen my tendons on top of my muscles. So it's pushing it that far, then that hard, like that weight wise, you gotta have strong tendons. Otherwise, they're gonna be the first ones to go.
All right, I'm back. I don't know.
No worries. It kept going. We were just talking about so Dan does like 10 sets of 15 reps of like everything.
Holy crap. Wait. What are we talking for frequency per week on the main lift?
Yeah, like my Mondays have always stayed the same through the last 5 years. And it's what I like to call hell day. And it's all back and biceps. I usually start out with something comfortable, then like kind of pyramid into a heavier weight, and then back it down just to keep my reps. And I know I also have 10 or 15 exercises to go. So I usually like to keep that. But like my accessories on my bench day for my shoulders and my triceps, they've always been 10 sets, 10 to 15 reps. And then on my lower end, like my squat or my deadlift day, they've always been up there too. My main movements, it depends on where I'm at with my peak. Like higher, like 10 weeks out, I try to get around like 2 sets of 3 or 3 sets of 4, somewhere around there. But when I get close to the meet, I know I need to recover more, so I'll drop some sets. Like usually 3 weeks out, I'll go to 7 sets and kill it there. And then 2 weeks out, I'll just go like 5 sets, get a pump, go back home, eat, relax.
So are you training like bench 2 days a week, 1 day a week when you're kind of peaking, or is it?
No, it's all one. Actually, I do a comp grip one week, and then the next week I'll do close grip. And as I get closer to the meet, I peak my close grip with my comp grip too. It's all gone up percentages. And I usually start at about 88 and then just bump it up 2%. And then my close grip, I'll start it at 65 and bump it up 2% every week until like, usually the meet week when I hit my bench opener, I usually do it close grip and then just call it a wrap.
And then when you're like close to a meet, are you squatting every week and deadlifting every week, or is it alternate?
No, I never squat and deadlift in the same week. Like if I feel like my body needs frequency during the off season, I will, but that's usually nothing over 50%. But like when I'm peaking, I squat heavy one weekend, and then deficit deadlift usually the same day or that following Tuesday, and then the next weekend I'll squat or I'll pull heavy, and then I'll do pause squats that same day or the following Tuesday.
Yeah, so with the weights you're lifting, the intensity is very high, and it's probably really tough to recover from those sessions. I can imagine you feel pretty like run down, and nervous system gets blasted from those days. So it makes sense as far as spreading it out.
He said on our last podcast, I just got to say this. He said he starts squatting at 500 pounds.
Wait, what?
That's his warm-up. He starts
Usually
at what?
If I know I got to go to like up to 1,000 or heavier, I'll start with like usually 405 or 415 or 500, somewhere around there. But usually it's like usually about 650, 700, somewhere around there is when I really feel like I've hit the groove. So it's about my third warm up, and then I'll just hit singles until my top set. I know, it's crazy. It's hard for people to wrap their heads around, but I feel that's just Scott and I kind of talked about this last time. I feel like you and I, we know how to squat. It's not like we don't know how our body works. So seeing people like go for, a set of 10 with the bar, 135 with the bar, I think you're just wasting energy. And it was a little bit of what Matt Winning kind of instilled in me, and that's what like kind of pushed my bench over 500. And this was years ago too at another UPA meet. And he's like, "Why are you wasting so much energy? You got to throw all that energy up on the platform." And I just got my wheel spinning. And now I'd say it's been probably the last 2 years, I've just started about 405, 500, somewhere around there. Usually start about there.
On bench?
No, on squats.
What about for bench and deadlift? Do you start at a certain weight?
Yeah, for competition, like for bench, I'll start at 225 and then just do singles. And usually, like here, these last couple comps, I've opened at 500. So then I'll just go 225, 315, 405, 450 maybe. If it feels like it felt like 405 was slow, I'll hit 455. If not, I just save it. And 500 is a comfortable number I've had in my hands now for 3 years. In November, when I took the Raft World Record, I opened at 550 because I knew I had to get to 573 to get the total I needed. So I just wanted 2 shots at it, and I'm comfortable with 550 in my hands now too. But it's just, you know how the peak goes. If it's there, it's there. If not, it's not.
No, that's very true. And this is a question I've kind of been interested in with everybody. Like, what is your bench grip width? Like, where do you put your fingers on the rings? What fingers do you put on the rings?
Well, in WRPF, they make you put your thumb around the bar. And I was suicide grip before that, just because squatting so damn heavy, my elbows and my shoulders take a huge beating. So the false grip really relieved a lot of that pain. Since I started going with my thumbs around the bar, I brought it into my ring finger on the first notch where there's no knurl in the first ring. And then when I was false grip, it was my index finger or my middle finger that was on the ring. But I've always been a closer bench press. My triceps are way stronger than my chest are. So blame that on Eric Lillibridge.
He had you do a lot of tricep work when you were working with him?
Yeah. Well, right after that is when Ed made me do a lot of like overhead presses or upper chest, and that I think that helped me carry over to where I went from like 512 to like 570, like almost within 3 months just from doing all the upper chest work.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
What's like the number one thing you think that, or the number one cue you have for bench that you think helps you the most?
Oh, I'd have to say just keeping my elbows in and closer, trying to activate my lats a lot more. I've never had a problem where my butt comes off the bench, but driving through my heels has always been kind of tricky for me. But since I learned the cue from W.T. Franklin, actually, he's the one that told me to press my knees out. And ever since then, that was like 3 years ago, it just, as soon as I lock my toes into the ground, shove my knees out, and it just feels like my arch is just locked into there. I'm not moving at all.
A lot of people don't know who that is, but I remember WT.
Yeah.
Back in the pro gym days and everything, we'd come down there like
Oh,
UPA.
yeah. He's a shenanigan guy. He's fun. I still talk to him all the time.
Did you live in Illinois when you were doing those meets?
Yeah. Actually, I was like, I was 3 hours south of like Madison. So I was like, I wasn't close to Chicago, but I was somewhere close to Chicago. So yeah, the first time we met was in Dubuque, but then later on in like 2015, I moved up to Dubuque and I was living there for a while. That made the UPA meets kind of nice. 10 minutes away from my front door, you know.
Where are you at now?
Oh, I actually live in Daytona Beach.
It's not bad.
Yeah. It's 83 degrees and sunny all day today. I'm not mad about that.
Nice. You want to jump in, Scott? What do you think?
This is a little, different subject, but I heard some, like, everything about Dan is, like, unreal, He starts squatting at 500. He freaking, just like his 10 sets of 15 on everything. And I heard you say on a podcast, Dan, that your blood pressure was like the most astronomical number I've ever heard in my entire life.
Well, I'm sure, peaking a test, there's some extra supplements that help that. But usually, like 3 weeks out, I'm normally sitting at like 210 over 170.
Okay, and I'll be honest too at this point. So when I'm getting close to a meet, I'm usually about 160 over 100. And do you feel like, okay, let's get into that. When on orals, do you feel like crap? Like you feel nauseous and run down and you can barely, like, fatigued all the time? Because that's how it is, I'll be honest. When I'm on orals, I'll take Tudka. I'll take 1,200 milligrams of Tudka, and then I'll take 2-3 grams of NAC, N-acetylcysteine, and then I take milk thistle too. So I take every single freaking liver support out there, and that just makes it to where I feel okay, just okay.
Yeah.
And if I don't have N-acetylcysteine in there, I feel like death. Like there was a time where I was taking Halo before a meet, and I would take the Halo, and then about an hour later, I would feel like I was nauseous. Like I literally couldn't stand up because I felt like every time I stood up, I wanted to throw up. So it's no joke.
Exactly.
This stuff is real.
No, actually in November, I knew because, we'll backtrack. November the year before, I did Reebok Record Breakers, and I had my gallbladder out in July, and I was kind of hesitant on going injectables, so I started orals a little earlier than normal, and all of a sudden here come kidney stones, and they hit me like a ton of bricks. I was getting them like 3 to 4 like a week, and like I don't know if any of you guys have ever had kidney stones, but the doctor was like, this is like giving birth, like this is what would equal out for a female to giving a childbirth, like to having kidney stones. And it was awful, like horrible. End up tearing one of my rectors because it inflamed so hard on my kidney. Yeah, it was pretty scary. So fast forward to this November, I'm getting ready to go in, everything's going good, and I usually start orals about 4 weeks out. Started them, back pump, the nausea, the no sleep on top of it all. I was like 3 to 4 days into that oral cycle, I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, this is horrible. I'm not getting any work done for work. I'm not getting a paycheck. So I just cut everything off. It played more a psychological game with me. But then come meet week, like, I think it was like Wednesday, I started just doing a little bit, like 50 milligrams this and 50 milligrams that, and then like bumped it up until meat day. But I think that was more for me psychologically than anything. But yeah, even for the meet I did in February, I wasn't on any orals, and I felt great. I felt fabulous the next day. It was like really surprising.
So is your blood pressure gets up to 210, 170 on orals, or is that even without?
That's usually with, yeah.
Yeah, orals are harsh, and the thing is, like, I kind of went over this with Matt Wenning, where it's like, when I take more stuff, I almost get lazier with my training and become very reliant on the gear, and things don't go as well, and then you feel terrible. Whereas if you are more conservative and, you know, like you said, lay off the orals, you feel better and you actually train more effectively. So it's kind of funny how that works.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree with that 100%. Don't get me wrong, they have their place. Like, I still blame my 500 bench that I got 3 years ago just solely on turnable, but I mean, that's neither here nor there. But like, now, like, they have their place, but it's not always. I've said this to many kids on the internet, like, over the past couple of years, like, you got to go for quality, not quantity, because everybody wants to up the dose and everybody wants to take more, and that's just, you're putting a Band-Aid over something that's just going to fester and get worse. Like, there's no real prize at the end of it. You're just going to mess yourself up for that much longer.
No, I agree, because I feel way better when I come off all that stuff and, like, just on test or whatever, as opposed to pre-meet cycles where you're on the orals and stuff and you feel like crap. And
yeah,
exactly. It can get rough sometimes, and that's the thing. Like, people don't realize, but like, everybody is pushing it. You know, for the most part, everybody's pushing it. Everybody tries that. Everybody's pushing things pretty hard to be the best, and it's a rough game sometimes. So.
Oh yeah, big time. And I've, like, the first year of powerlifting, I was more or less a walking science experiment, and it was like, there's no joke. Like, it was in front of me, and I was taking it. Like, I didn't really care. Like, I just got to be the best. That was my mindset. And then, like, Ed kind of talked me into it, and then just seeing, like, a little bit of Andre's cycle, and I'm just like, man, more is definitely not better. And then, of course, you know, I had the underlining, like, medical issues, and I was like, I got to do something different. And I found out that if I did do things different, I still get the same results. It's like, why wasn't I doing this years ago? So, you know, like, you with coming out with the truth about trend video years ago, like, that opened a lot of people's eyes too. And I'm pretty sure I thanked you for that like 100 times too. It's just like, people don't know, and that's what they need to hear. So I'd much rather share that with other people and be like, hey, this is what not to do, because I can tell you exactly what not to do because I've done it. Yeah. But yeah, for sure, it's tough. But pressing the limits, you always got to find out, you know, what's going to work.
Yeah, and it's I think everybody goes through that phase where it's like you push things really hard and you just take as much as you can, and I feel like we've all done that at one point or another, but it never seems to go as well as you think it's going to go, because you think, you know, if you take more, you're going to lift more and you're going to do better, but it really doesn't work like that. But I get it at the same time. Like, it's one of those things almost everybody goes through and just realizes, okay, maybe that's not the answer. And it's tough because everything has side effects. So
exactly. Yeah.
Right in the middle of it. And it's almost like, too, you know, when you're off cycle, like, I'll get blood work and it all looks pretty good and everything. And then I've seen, you know, blood work on cycle. It's like you don't even want to look at it because your lipid panel, as far as your cholesterol and stuff, is just destroyed. Because every single oral destroys your HDL, basically. So you're going to have, like, no HDL. LDL will go up a bit. Blood pressure goes through the roof. That's another, I mean, that's the big one.
Right.
It's just, it's a rough go.
Yeah, it's my cholesterol was like, my family, we got some hereditary issues too with some, like, heart failure, not failure so much, but there's, like, heart congestion and whatnot. So that was another thing that I've had to keep on top of. I've been lucky enough to where my mom's, she's was in the medical field for quite some time, so she's insistent on my blood work once a month, and she asks about my blood pressure every time. She knows when I get on and when I get off, and she's actually stolen Anadrol from me before, just because she knew it was the one thing that was spiking my blood pressure. But usually when I'm off cycle, and of course I'll walk around about 30 pounds lighter than I do, like, meat week and whatnot, but Yeah, I'm usually about 160 over 110, somewhere around there. So it's not too horrible. I've actually been prescribed high blood pressure medicine for probably 10 years now, and that's, I mean, my doctor told me he knows everything too, and he's like, hey, when you get close to me, just start taking double. I'm like, all right, whatever works, that's cool with me, cool with you. So yeah, it all works out as long as you stay on top of it, I think.
It's always good to have transparent doctors too.
Yeah.
Doctors who know what they're talking about, but.
Right. It took me a while to find one, but it was cool. I was really happy when I found him. He's been extremely helpful, and the longevity, because when you were 22, when I was 27, I wasn't worried about what was going to happen in 10 years.
Nope. Not at all.
Exactly. Not one bit. I wasn't worried about what was happening in 10 months. I was just ready to lift.
Yeah, I remember those UPA meets where it's like my skin would be broken out. I'd feel like complete garbage. I could barely like muster any kind of endurance or cardio. Be like breathing heavily and just feel awful. But you're like, oh, I'll be pretty strong.
That's what you think. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'd like to say the good old days, but I won't be saying that in 10 years either.
No, I look back on those days. I'm like, wow, I probably shouldn't have done that way. But all right. Yikes. Sure. Getting into it like that.
Right.
So do you guys come completely off? And if you do, what is that like? Like, what is it like going off completely? Or do you always stay on, or like, how does that work?
Right now, actually, this will be my second week. I'd usually just like to taper down, but I was planning on going to the Cohen this year, and so like I think the highest I was getting in was like around 500. Just cut it in half for a week or 2 weeks, and then like a TRT dose, maybe 250. Sometimes I'll even get lazy and not even worry about it. Just like, okay, move on to another week and just take nothing. I've done the PCT a few times. Didn't really, notice the way the side effects were slower or anything like that. Now I just barely PCT at all and just keep on keeping on. Then when my blood work comes back, I find out where my levels are at and find out where I need to be. But I got married in February, so the wife, she's the wife and the grandmother, kind of begging for a little one to run around, and I've always had that dream too, so we're going to take a couple routes. I think we're going to try to get that done this year, but I've been seeing a doctor here in Florida, just trying to get the little swimmers get going again, and then hopefully they take off.
Yeah, one thing with that, so don't just take HCG. HCG will get your LH back on track, your luteinizing hormone, but take HMG as well for the FSH. So a lot of people just take HCG, but you want to alternate it with HMG during a PCT phase, because HMG turns on the FSH, and that's the other component to getting your sperm count back up. So HMG is more expensive and it's harder to find than HCG, but if you really want to get everything going again, you get HCG, HMG, alternate them, and then also do the Nolvadex and then Arimidex to keep the estrogen down for that 30-day period.
There's something in Nova that I can't take. I'm allergic to it. I like get
Clomid.
Clomid, yeah. So yeah,
either or.
Yeah, about the same, right?
Yeah, I mean, basically for me, like, I'll come down. Usually I'll cruise about 200, 250. And I did 1 year where I literally, for a whole year, I did like 250 on a cruise per week. But after this last deadlift only meet, and that was March 14th, I've been doing 125 a week. And the thing with like test is the half-life is 4.5 days. So after 4.5 days, it's going to start dropping off significantly. But honestly, just like with you, Dan, in an off season, I'm kind of like, whatever. I just do 1 shot a week. So my day, it's really trailing off there at the last couple days. But just for the sake of simplicity and staying on schedule, I do 125 a week in 1 shot and kind of do it that way. So I'm sure my levels are low. And 125 would put you at a very natural level of probably 500-600. But and then coming around and everybody's like,
exactly, yeah.
Like that's but
that's awesome.
So you guys don't come off then, like, completely?
I think
not for long periods of time. Usually, no.
Well, the problem is you're even on a PCT if you've been on for a long time, your levels are going to be so low, even with a proper PCT. It's going to be, you're not going to feel the greatest. So typically, you're almost healthier to just stay on a little bit of test. But at the same time, if you're trying to have a child or something, PCT might be a better option if you do the HCG and HMG protocol. That tends to work. But if other than that, there's no reason to really do anything but like cruise. And some people do varying degrees of cruises, but it's almost healthier than like shutting your body down, having those hormone fluctuations of coming completely off.
That's what I was having a problem, because before I would come completely off, like just go cold turkey after me, and I'm like psychological, and then like just my mood swings and everything like that. Like I just didn't feel like doing anything. I was just depressed all the time and like taking it out on, you know, the girlfriends, the parents, the job, and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, this isn't worth it. Like I'll just stay on a little bit and just hang out. But yeah, usually it's like three months tops is where I'll be like, okay, it's time to get back on. Let's ramp things back up. We got to start building again. Or it really depends on, you know, what meets next and when I'm doing that.
How many meets a year do you typically do?
Try now that I'm like up here, really I want to stay at 2, but you know, I've tried to stay at 2, but if something pops up, like this meet that I did in February, the one in Sleeves, I was honestly just going there to hit my openers to qualify for another meet in November this year, and everything was firing on all cylinders. I took 9:59 on my second attempt, and I was like, that's too easy not to go for a grand. And then I did that, and then I went right in the back room and I was calculating all the numbers on what I needed just to get the world record total, and I was like, why not? You know, I'd much rather live with, you know, not rolling the dice or taking the chance and doing it rather than like saying I could have and didn't do it.
Makes sense.
Did you see that 1,000-pound squat for 4 reps that he did, Pete?
Yes, I did. I and the depth was great too. So I'm like, all right, that makes me feel terrible about myself. No, it's all good.
That's ridiculous.
I respect it.
That is ridiculous. I mean, it's just mind blowing. It's like, oh my God, what are you doing, man?
Trying to get to 500 kilo squats. What I've been trying to do.
Good Lord.
Wow.
That day, like 2 weeks prior to that, I hit 1030, and it like I had the shakes so horrible. So I was like, I wasn't really scared of it, but I just knew that a grand would be there. And then Chris Duffin just did his 1,000 for 3, and I'm like, all right, I'm sure I can pump out 4, no problem. I think there was like 3 or 4 warm ups, and I was like, all right, let's go, let's do this. And there's a small clip like after the whole thing. I fell down right in front of the mondo. I'm laying on the ground. I took my mouthpiece out, and I'm like, holy shit, I fucking did it. Like, like I had no clue I was going to do it. It was cool.
Do you have any like lifetime goals in the sport or anything? Or do you just keep going with it?
I want to be untouchable. Like this 25-18 that I got in wraps right now, I was really going for 25-44. And yeah, I'm not really comfortable with 25-18 because there's a couple guys out there that can really just reach out and touch it if they want to. So if I can get to 2600, like I think that's in my ballpark. You know, 11 squat, 6 bench, and a 9 dead. I think I'm being a little conservative on the bench and the dead, but that comes with the territory of trying to squat 1100 too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 2600 is untouchable for the next 5 to 10 years. So I think that'd be cool. Do that and just go CrossFit or something.
I was like, well, I mean, I don't want to hate on the guy if he's serious, you know.
Eddie Hall did, right? He broke the record on that freaking snatch move, 135 for like 10 minutes. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
No, I didn't see that.
He
Yeah.
broke the world record, the CrossFit record. Eddie Hall did.
Damn,
Did
dude.
like 135 for like 47, or it was some ridiculous number.
It was insane. Yeah, he broke the world record, and we were in talks with Eddie Hall, man. Just so everybody knows this, Pete probably don't want to talk about this, but we were gonna send Pete to Giants Live, man. And it was like we were talking to Eddie Hall. It was freaking awesome. I I was so excited about that, and people they want to see that. That would be cool too. I mean, Dan, of course, you too. Man. Like, I think
Was this like
it's the
was this
Deadlift World
recent?
Championships, but it's with
straps.
and suits too, which I know Matt said it doesn't help, but if you look at like the mountain, right? He pulled 900 in a meet, but he pulls he's going for 501 kilograms, right? With
Yep.
So
yeah, that's like a year ago, I think. But I know Giants Live, their opening weight, no matter who you are, it's always the same weights. They open at 400 kilos and then they go to 420 kilos. So 882 to 925 for the jumps, and then they go from there. And it's all conventional. They don't allow sumo or anything. But I don't know. Maybe someday it'd be fun. I wouldn't win it, but it'd be cool to just do it.
Right.
But yeah, we were talking to Eddie.
Was that recent?
Yeah. When was that?
We were going back and forth with him. Like, wasn't it last summer? We were talking to him.
Yeah.
He was down here in Daytona for the Giants Live thing that they had down here. Him and Julius Maddox. I met Ed a few times. He's cool. He's a cool guy. I think kind of like Larry Wheels. Publicity kind of gets to your head a little bit, but I can't say the same thing wouldn't happen to me. So he's cool. I like him now. He's a great, genuine guy. I like his background too. He used to be a mechanic just like me. I thought that was pretty sweet. But
yeah,
pretty funny from what I hear.
Yeah, I've never met him in person, but he seems like an awesome guy. It's crazy. I mean, with those guys, if I could make that kind of money too, I'd be hard to pass up. Just being present on social media and not having to push as hard anymore and kill your body. I get it. I know Larry's still going. He's still trying to get better and better, but
he's a maniac, man.
You've met him before, right?
Oh yeah, I remember Larry Rum 8 2015. He was young. He was 20. I don't even know if he was 20 yet. Super young, super shy. Wouldn't talk to anybody.
Yep.
And finally, Kevin Oak and I were like, "Hey, dude, you can come talk to the rest of us. We're all just as nervous as you are." It was cool.
Yeah, I met him once at Boss of Bosses 3 years ago, and he was in my weight class, freaking 242, which blows my mind now to think about. And he didn't look huge, but he was just really cut and big, and as far as jacked and real quiet. He was super quiet. So
yeah,
he came across very humble, but I haven't seen him in years.
I think he lives in Dubai now for most of the time. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I talked to him a little bit. Where was it? Talked to him a little bit. Oh man. No, that was at the Record Breakers 2 years ago. But other than that, I haven't seen him much.
Yeah, he's over in Dubai. I do know that. He moved there, and he's been there for a year or two. So he pretty much is the guy who made it in the sport, made it big time. I don't think anyone else has done that, but good for him. I can't hate on him.
No shit. No, exactly. It's awesome.
He's packing the weight on too. I mean, that's one thing that I always try to. What do you think about that, Dan? Because I always tell Pete, I'm like, dude, you could get a lot bigger. I think Pete feels good at his weight, but remember we were kind of talking about, what you thought. I know one thing you said is you think Pete should back off the deadlift a little bit and just focus on the other lifts. Is that what you think Pete should do, in your opinion, Dan? What do you think Pete should do?
Well, I mean, Pete, your deadlift's always been, your lift. It's been the one that's always been solid for you. Whether you're always gonna be over 850. I mean, somewhere in that, especially with a good peak. So you get your squat up, 7 plus, somewhere around there. Then you have a lot more level playing ground. Then you don't have to go in and pull 900, to win or beat your total PR, stuff like that. And then I've always had good carryover from pause squats to my deadlift anyways. There was a couple cycles I had where my low back was so fried and my hamstrings were so almost tender to where I could hardly deadlift anything, and I just did pause squats over and over and over again. Your bench has always been solid too. So if you just, I mean, well, you've always you've been mid fours, somewhere around there for majority.
Dan, that's trash. Let's be honest there. No, I mean relative to everything else, I'm not hating on anybody for the mid four bench, but like, I appreciate you saying that though, because like as far as working on squat and bench, because that's exactly what I've been doing for the last 5 weeks, and you know, Scott can attest to this. Like I've been posting every single training session on YouTube. I'm doing 2 days of squat per week, 2 days of bench, and then 1 deadlift day. So deadlift, it's you know, I pretty much have a lot of that down. There's still a few technical things, but I'm really taking this time to master squat and bench because those have been the lifts that, and my squat, I've gotten it up to 772 in sleeves, but I just want to break into that 800 range in sleeves. So I really appreciate that because that's actually exactly what I've been trying to do now. I'm like, my bench sucks. It's always sucked. Let's make it good, technical, change the form completely because there's no reason I shouldn't be benching low fives and squatting 8. So I think you're 100% right. It's about the total, not what you can deadlift. No one freaking cares.
No,
especially Jamal Browner and Kaylor Wool.
Right. Jamal's ridiculous, dude. That's so ridiculous. But Scott and I, we were just like having it was just a conversation about, you know, think of what you could do. And that was just my main thought because it's clear. I mean, everybody knows you can deadlift. And your bench, I can remember like when you were first getting in the fours and like you had steady, great fucking progression going all the way up. So
I'll tell you the secret to that one though. That was called Tren Ace. And I haven't.
Totally know those skills.
I'll tell you because then I haven't taken Tren since the meet I did where I hit 2100 back in January of 2018. So it's been over 2 years now. And I think that's another thing where it's kind of a mind game where I'm like, all my PRs were on Tren. So now I run other stuff, but I try not to run Tren because it just jacks up my head so bad. So it's like I'm trying to get these PRs again without it, but it's hard, man, because that was like the golden ticket. I used to just run test and Tren and no orals, and I'd be stronger than if I ran 6 different compounds that were not Tren. That's serious.
Oh yeah, I know those. I get the head gains a lot with Nth. I get the head gains a ton when I take Nth, and I haven't taken that in almost 3 years now. But Ace, I just feel like I've had to talk to a few guys at this new gym that I'm going to now. I just feel like if you can control your mind to get that under control, because I've had to do this since I was like 22 years old, like getting kicked out of bar fights and stuff like that. Just if I slow myself down and know like what I'm going to say, what I'm going to do, how I'm going to react, then I feel like I have control of it a lot better. But Ace, it definitely plays in my mind a lot, but I don't think I've never ran a cycle without it. And everybody's like, oh, the injuries, it's going to hurt. I was like, well, I don't really have much to worry about because it might deplete a little bit of water off me, but I'm also 350, 370 pounds. Like, there's a lot more body that I got to worry about. I get what you're saying.
I could take low amounts of Ace and it would still blow away everything else that you could possibly take. It's just, oh my gosh, like that's how I hit all my PRs. That's how my bench went from 4 to 463. It was just like it's trying to get by without that now. Because I'm serious, man. I'd kill every relationship I had if I was on it, or I'd be a hothead. Like I used to be a doorman, and I was taking 500 milligrams.
I remember that. Yeah.
I was crazy, man. I was a freaking psychopath for real though. And it's no joke. Like I'd stare at people. I'd just be walking down the street, and I'd think everyone was staring me down, and I'm like, I wanted to like fight everyone. So it's not. I can't handle it, dude. I'm being straight up. Like I cannot responsibly handle that stuff.
I totally get it. I think John Hacks, he's told me some stories about back in the bouncing days.
Oh God, I'm sure he has. Yeah, it's I've met him at the surf at the University of Wisconsin gym way back in the day. Like this was I was 2 years older than him, I believe, and he was just some guy. Like he was pretty built, and he came up to me and he told me like he could squat 550 and like we trained a little bit together, and he was like looking up to me at the time, just like with you, you know, kind of thing. And then I started watching him over the years, and I'm like, good Lord, look at what's happening. And it's like I'm watching him blow the doors off every number now. But it was the same thing. Like we were in the same town. We were, you know, he knew me, and we hung out a little bit and trained together. And now look where he is. It's wild.
Oh, sorry, might be a little bit off. You ever talk to Dan Polchik, or the guy that runs Madtown?
Yes, sir. I have. I talk to him about every day.
That's awesome. I haven't talked to him in a couple of years, but I just remember you guys all going to Madtown. You guys had like a good crew. Well, I don't know if you guys all trained together or not, but there was a good crew that always go there. And Dan was such a great guy. I remember seeing him at UPA meets all the time.
Okay, so the funny thing with Dan, back when I first met him, he was maybe crazier than me at the time. Like he was a hothead. He hated the world. He was natural. Dan's completely natural, but he was literally naturally freaking crazy. So like I linked up with him. He kind of got me into powerlifting, and he's completely different person now. Like he's married, he's got a kid, he's completely toned down. He's lost a bunch of weight even. And he's doing well. He's got the gyms and everything. But that guy, he was the guy from the basement days, and he would always be screaming at me, and like we were literally equally nuts, so we just fed off each other. And that was my only training partner. But that dude brought me, you know, he got me big time to where I am. You know, he was just like, he was crazy, I was crazy, and we fed off each other.
Oh yeah, that's so awesome. I'm pretty sure I still got a bunch of videos on the bottom end of my phone, me wearing a beanie, trying to deadlift like you. It's pretty terrible looking, but it was funny. I remember those days.
Now you're pulling 904, so I gotta get there.
Oh, it was luck. It was luck. I had some check drops, but whatever.
that'll do it. You know, no. You've had some grip issues too, and you were able to hold on to 904. So that's I've had grip issues off and on with mixed grip. I had to switch to hook because I just couldn't hold on to anything above 850 with mixed.
Yeah. I actually cut the tip of that fucking thumb off about 7 years ago. Cut the tip of it off. So any pressure I have on it, it feels like it's just gonna pop, and like it's like excruciating pain. But everybody's saying, "Oh, try hook," and I keep trying. And like I think the best I ever did was 650 or 680, and it just my thumb felt like hell. And I was like, "All right, gotta just get my grip stronger." And actually work with a bunch of geared guys down here at Full Sumo, just slowing down and paying attention to what I actually have to do, tying my hands in. And then Josh Morris told me to actually do a mixed grip, but hook my thumb over the top of it. And that helped me a ton. I just put my thumb over my index and my middle finger, and I just locked it in perfect.
Yeah, so it's like a reverse hook grip almost.
Yeah, just a mixed grip hook grip. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, that was a big game changer for me, because like I really wanted to go for 9 in November. Like I was so mad that I missed my second one. I pulled 881 so fast that I fell backwards with it. I wanted to go for 9, but I wanted the total too, so I had to go 881 on the second. I was so mad. But then, like Josh told me that, I think it was like mid-January, he told me that, and I started doing it a little bit in training and everything like that, and it's like, holy cow. Like I rack pulled almost 9 and just stood there with it. My hands felt fine. I was like, all right, now it's definitely going to come now. So then I did it on the meet day, and I was like, all right, this works. This is pretty awesome. Finally, the monkey's off my back.
Man, it's going to be a good feeling. 904. The elusive 904.
Yeah, no kidding. I think I tried it 6 times in competition. At least 5. I know I at least tried it 5 times in competition. Just always just slid right out of my hand. It was like slow motion, just watching it just fall right out on the floor. It's like, God.
That's the worst too, when you know you have the strength for it. So.
Exactly. That's awesome.
So there also, he did bench 485 in the gym. I just want to say that I love that video
trying again.
Dude, we know you're right there though. Dan, how do we get him up to 500, bro? Because I think if you hit 485, you could hit 485 again easily, like for sure. And 500's right there. I mean, it's so freaking close. It's ridiculous.
After every session, go to the pec deck, turn around, and reverse fly for 200 reps. I did that for I did that for like 2 years. Just literally slaughtered my rear delts. Like every bench session, I would go in there and just 200 reps until I was done, and I couldn't stop. And I really that helped push me past 500 real fast. I mean,
Wow.
I don't know if you do any rear delt work now, but I mean that's another big thing that I've found to point out to some people, because a lot of people neglect it. But that's like one of the best straining muscles on your way down. You just reload and recoil your rear delt. That could definitely help. I can't remember if I've seen you were pushing 485 a while back, I thought, but either way, I would definitely just that and the incline. That's like the rear delts and the incline. That's like been the biggest game changer for me, and everybody says it too. Like, where in the hell did your bench come from? I'm like, incline and rear delts. I don't know.
Is your best bench 580?
579, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I fit 585. I fit 585 in the gym 3 times.
Jeez, man.
Yeah, I had 600 in my hands at Reebok Record Breakers 2 years ago, and right as I'm coming down, both my pecs locked up, and I'm like, hey, I didn't come here to get hurt. Like, just take it.
What's your biggest on a related note? Like, what's your biggest piece of advice for squatting a lot? Like, any cues or anything that helps you? Anything that works?
You got to find your groove, and you got to know how to fix what you're on. I have a real tendency, especially in my warm-ups, my heels come up. So my heels, and I'm already in heeled shoes, so my knees are going way far in front of my toes. When I got wraps on, my stance is a little bit wider, just because I feel like I get to use my hamstrings a lot more. And if I focus just on my heels, I've done it either way, where I pick up my big toe or I'll grip the floor. And I don't tie my shoes anymore because it felt like it was restricting my ankle mobility. It was actually something that Ed Cohen pointed out to me. He's like, don't tie your shoes. Just don't tie them. I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot, whatever. And that's what kind of game changed my squat altogether, was realizing that I had to control what my ankle was doing a lot more and putting a lot more focus into that, and actually hitting off my calves. Like, I don't know how I got the genetics to have a good set of calves. My calves are pretty amazing, and just able to control down into the hole and then use the wrap. And that's really been the big game changer for me, because I think I went from like 10:08. No, I think it was 10:24. I went from 10:24 to 10:69, just off changing the littlest ankle mobility and bouncing into the hole a lot more. So it's just crazy.
So you try to get more speed out of the bottom? You try to bounce out of the hole?
Oh yeah, big time. That's I feel like I get to load my hips a lot more doing it that way, just because I'm such a narrow squatter anyways. I feel like I get to load my hips a lot more and taking it slow. And then when I feel my wraps bind is when I it's hard to explain to a lot of guys, but I feel like I just let loose, hit the hole, and just use that rebound spring from the wraps and from my hamstrings and my calves to just kind of finish off the lift.
Now, I have to ask, is it any different in sleeves?
Yeah, I'm a lot narrower in sleeves, to where I'm not so much sitting back as where I'm spreading.
Okay.
To where, of course, I want to push my knees out, but when I come back together, I almost cave my knees in too hard. But it's just my hips reflex more than anything.
Do you try to bounce out of the bottom too with sleeves?
Yeah, definitely. Everybody knows I've had a depth issue, so I've always played the game to where if they don't get a good look at it, they're going to give me a white. So the faster I can squat, the better off I am.
Makes sense.
But I mean, I've been lucky enough to where now I've reconstructed it so many times to where the minute I go down, the minute I break in my hips, I know what's going to go wrong. or I know how to fix it, or what to move which way. I really think my biggest task for squatting 1100 is going to be my upper back, just not folding me in half.
Makes sense.
Yep.
So a subject that always comes up on these podcasts all the time is some guy named Ed Cohen. So, bro, share some wisdom of the Ed Cohen. Ed Cohen, we want to have you on this podcast. I know that you're watching this, so hit me up. I've talked to Ed a couple times, actually. He does a lot of podcasts. A lot of people want to see Ed in his life. He loves you, Dan. And but let's spread some of that Ed Cohen magic sprinkle dust on Pete.
Yeah, I could probably drop him a line. Really, the biggest thing that I've caught from Ed is training intensity. You know, you got to keep level intensity with a level workload. That's one of the things that he's helped me a ton with, to where if like I do have a heavy bench day, I can't have a heavy squat day that follow. Like, I'll take my heavy bench day and put it on the same week as I'm deadlifting, because then all my shoulders aren't so taxed and my upper back isn't so taxed. So then, like the same week that I squat heavy, I'll just have a close grip, easy rep scheme type of workout. He's like, you got to level your intensity to pick it up when you need it, and you got to have your workload just as level with it. And that's really kind of changed the game for me. And of course, I mean, he had a good hand in reconstructing my squat too, getting me to open up, sit back a lot more. So it's just been quite the experience. And the guy makes memes all the time. I know most people don't see it, but I just got a unicorn meme the other day. He sent me one. He's like, this is what you look like, and it's some fat slob. And then he's like, this is what you feel like, and it's like me on the cover of Time magazine. And I'm just like, Ed, what are you doing? Like, you need to unquarantine and get out in this world. Like, leave me alone. He's such a character.
He's a wild one.
Yeah.
The first time I met him, he was like telling me knife fighting techniques. I never had met the guy before. I'm like, holy crap, man. We were in Chicago for like a seminar with Juggernaut Training Systems, and the whole freaking time he's teaching me like how to defend against someone attacking me with a knife. And he's like, what would you do here? And I'm like, I don't freaking know. And then he would like show me and stuff. I was like, holy crap, this guy's serious.
Try not to die. I just told Ed, I was like, I'll just shoot you. I have no problem with that. Like, come at me with a knife. He's definitely proud of his skills there. He's perfected it pretty well. He's been doing it for a while.
I believe it.
That's awesome. I love that. That's great to hear that about him. He's also the Tiger King. I mean, have you seen this? He's got videos of him with tigers and everything. It's like Mike Tyson style. Like, what the hell? What is this all about with people with tigers?
Yeah.
McGregor does it. All the greats do it.
He's got all the pictures of him and his tigers on his refrigerator. It's pretty sweet. I've seen him a couple times. It's pretty awesome. Crazy what they got away with in the 80s.
Now, how many times did you like train with the Lily Bridges when you were around that area?
They were like 2 hours north of me. So I was up there a handful of times. So it was like 10 to 15 times. Senior, yeah. I mean, he was a good dude. He guided me the right way on a few different things and the wrong way on a few other things. It was a learning experience. I'm sure everybody's got that from him.
Yeah, I remember like we were out in California with those guys. First big meet I did at Mark Bell's backyard meet of the century thing in 2013, and we all flew out there, right? And like we went to a Golden Corral, and we were just sitting there for like 4 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy, I'm like, dude, because these guys would eat a big meal, and then they would take a 30-minute rest period, and just be sitting there, and then they'd go and get some more. And I'm like, holy, are we ever gonna go? It was hilarious. Man, good lord, I couldn't hang with those guys eating wise. Lehman was out there too. That was the one time I got to meet Lehman, and I talked to him on the balcony for like 2 hours, and I'm like, holy crap, this guy is deep as can be, and he is very insightful. So,
yeah, I've actually talked to George a lot. I've actually he talked me into dabbling into with the real estate you know, just seeing some of his posts and whatnot, and realizing the real estate down here in Florida is pretty awesome to buy up and rent. And he's helped me quite a bit. And I met him at Raw Mate too, and I was the same way I was when the first time I met you. I was like, oh my God, it's fucking George Lehman, you know, the baby killer. Like, it was cool as shit. But since then, we've just kept in contact and here and there. The guy's so much better not on steroids. Like, he's so much better. He's so calm, but I bet he's probably about the same line as Dan. You know, just fucking nuts.
We wanted to have him on because when I talk to him, I'm like, that guy could tell people so many things, life lessons about what not to do and what to do, and like, he's freaking smart. That guy's really smart.
Big time.
So I met him that one time.
Completely uneducated.
There's so much to learn from him because he's so deep as a person. He's just like, there's a lot there.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, when you lift, do you have to get really psyched up and get like crazy intense on meet day, or are you mellow, just like whatever?
Yeah. Actually, that one in February, like, I wasn't really peaking for it. The one I did in sleeves, I knew I had to get a little mad for squats. I try not to. And just because I know there's so many things like steps I got to go through in my head. So I got to walk through that, and I try not to get mad for squats. Here recently, I've been trying not to get mad for deadlifts, but I usually have to get pretty mad for deadlifts. You know, it's just an emotional lift as much as a physical lift. Yeah, I usually like to get pretty pumped up, scream, you know, have like a war cry or whatever, and then just get after it. But I know it helps a ton, but I know if slowing down and making sure I make all the steps I need to make helps also.
It's because like squat and bench are way more technical in my opinion. So you almost have to be consciously focusing on all these things and staying somewhat calm. Whereas deadlift, you have to kind of let loose because the more intense you get for deadlift, the more bar speed you're going to have off the floor. Typically.
Oh, big time.
So makes a difference.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't agree more. There's like with squats, you miss one step, it could mess up your whole lift, your entire lift. And I felt like that a couple times with deadlift, but if I don't have any emotion, I don't have any floor speed. So I totally know what you're saying. What were you saying, Scott, about Lehman?
Oh, I was just saying that we want Lehman on the podcast. So people, reach out to Lehman, tell him to come on. Dan, you just tell him, bro. Just say, hey, man, you need to be. I talked to him, and he said he likes his privacy at this time in his life. He doesn't want to be real, public figure, social media thing. So, Pete said that he gets that, and but still, I think it would, like Pete said, it would help a lot of people, and it's fun doing this. It's like It's like you don't got to think about all the people who watch this. This is just three guys on a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. It's already been more than an hour, and we've just been bullshitting. So yeah, I totally get what you're saying. I get that too with George. I'm kind of, I don't know, Pete's always kind of been that way too. I'm kind of that way too. It's like, don't really post much personal stuff, and like what I want you to know, you'll know. Other than that, just like, I'll go to lifting and post that. You go do your thing. Leave me alone. So I kind of get where he's coming from.
I've watched his videos, like especially the ones where he would talk for like 20 minutes and try to give life lessons and stuff. And I'm like, man, that is some good stuff. Because I don't even really want to talk about the lifting with him. I want to be like, how smart he is with the mindset. I'm like, that's the golden stuff right there.
Oh yeah. So, and then back in the day, like when he was doing all the dumbbell stuff, like who would think of doing that much dumbbell shit to like increase your bench or increase your deadlift too? Like I would have never thought that dumbbells could have that much carryover to a barbell. But yeah, I can tell you can just tell like the first two sentences, you can tell he's super smart.
No, I have to ask you like super random question, because what is your favorite food? And I'll tell you mine if that helps. Like mine,
I can probably guess yours. I'm still a fan, Pete.
You'll never guess it. You'll never guess it. I swear.
Favorite food? Well, they have Casey's in Tennessee.
Casey's General Store?
Yeah.
No, but I know what you're talking about because, I mean, I'm from Wisconsin, dude.
Yeah, they don't have them here in Florida. And I spent 33 years in Illinois where they had them. Dude, I miss Casey's breakfast pizza like it's going out of style. Like, there's no ifs, ands. Yeah, it was like legit the best. The best thing that I ever got out of one of your YouTube videos was the blueberry lemonade.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I would drink that by the gallon. It seemed like right after you post that, I'm like, this is so delicious. It's so
I gave
awesome.
so many people heartburn from that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, dude, just straight acid you're pouring down your throat, and like you get that heartburn every day. You're like, oh my gosh, all the
So
acid.
Exactly.
That's why I just
that's
stopped
awesome.
drinking all that stuff. Dude, I used to drink a 64-ounce thing of juice every single day for like 4 years in a row, and I had to stop because I was getting so much heartburn and like my esophagus was getting all jacked up. Like, gosh, I stop this.
One of my good buddies, Riley Clark, he was the same way, and he actually like tore a hole in his esophagus. He was having so much acid reflux. I was like, man, you gotta lay off. But him and I were the same way, like waiting for another Pete video to come out before we went to the gym. Gotta find the food review, what he ate this week.
No, I got a pretty good. Okay, if you like, what was on that breakfast pizza you were talking about? Like, what was on?
Oh, they usually do like a sausage gravy. And then,
Bro,
like,
I got you. All right. You got to go to Walmart or wherever. Go to the breakfast section. Red Baron biscuit style scrambles.
oh,
You know about that?
That sounds awesome.
Bro, that is it. That's your breakfast pizza. It's
I can't wait.
I had one today. It's the greatest thing. Get the bacon one. So there's a bacon and a sausage. They're both really good. They got the gravy instead of the pizza sauce. They got the bacon, the 3 cheeses. Very phenomenal food, man. Like I'm telling you, that's the replacement.
I'm going to Walmart right now.
It's in the breakfast section. So breakfast section, Red Baron. It's in like a square box. It comes in 2-pack Red Baron biscuit style scrambles. That's what's up.
Oh, that's awesome. You remember when you first moved to Tennessee and you were like, Publix chicken tender.
Oh yeah.
Sub sandwiches. Like, so like March last year was like the first time, like I've been traveling back and forth, like coming to see my wife now. I've been traveling back and forth like really the last 3 years. But last year when I moved down here, that was like the second thing I did. I unloaded the U-Haul, unloaded my car, and I was like, babe, I gotta go to Publix. I gotta get this chicken tender sandwich. Like, I've heard from so many awesome people that it's just so great. And she's like, all right, let's go. And that's what we did. And now I bet I have like at least one a week. Like every time the wife goes to Publix, she'll grab me one. I'm like, oh, you're a saint. Those are a game changer for me, Pete. That's awesome.
Those things are filling too. I'll eat half of one and I'll be full for like 8 hours. I'm like, ridiculous. Publix is the best grocery store in the world. Hands down.
Couldn't agree. I don't know why they're not in the Midwest.
No, we've barely got any here. We've got like one, or we've got like a couple around here, but we have to drive to Knoxville for that. So I don't get to go very often. But I don't think they have them out by Scott in Oregon.
No, definitely not.
There's like that they're talking about.
There's like one every corner down here. There's like they're all over the place.
Yeah.
Do you guys have Outback Steakhouses out there?
Heck yeah.
So I was thinking about that after we talked to Greg, because I was like, I don't know what my favorite food is, but I like New York strip steak, dude. I like New York steaks. That's freaking obvious.
I'm not a steak guy. Never have been. I grew up on a dairy farm, so we ate steak all the time. And really, like, for the last 10 years, I've just been like a chicken guy. Like, there's a pizza place down the street. They make a chicken bacon ranch pizza. That's pretty damn amazing. But yeah, I've never really been big on steak. Like, I'll eat them every once in a while, stuff like that. Like if my mother-in-law is cooking or something like that, she'll cook steaks, but not me.
Oh man, that's crazy. Do you do any kind of diet or anything like that?
I pay attention. I know I'm through like the years of my weight going up and down. I'm not silly. I know what's good for me, and I know what tastes great too. So I just kind of go left and right.
Here, let me add Pete back in because it looks like he got
froze up.
Yeah, he froze up, so I just add him back in. And, that's what I did last time, anyways. It's
I
good
saw that.
getting more experienced here with this stuff, you know?
I'm sure. You guys do it? Like, how many? You guys putting these all up on YouTube?
Yeah, this is going to be on Pete's channel. So Pete's uploading them. Typically on Sundays, he uploads them
Oh, awesome.
every Sunday. And this is our fourth one. We had Julius Maddox on our first one. We had Greg Panora on our second.
He's great.
That was a good one. Then we had Matt Winning, and now we had you. So it's all basically downhill from here, bro. Everybody else after this point will be weaker than you. There's like no chance of going up in any way. Yeah.
Yep. It's fun to say. There's always somebody stronger.
Yeah.
What's it like? 4 o'clock there? 4:30?
It is 5. It's about 5:30.
Okay. Here's 3-hour difference. That's not bad.
Yeah.
How's the weather?
Oh man, the weather's been amazing. It's been amazing.
Awesome.
It's let me check right here. I'll let you know exactly what it is. Right. So right now it's 79 degrees.
Same here. That's awesome.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Is it pretty humid there though?
Humidity just got back in like the middle of last month. Usually like last year it left in October, but then now it's coming back right now. Humidity's not horrible. I think like I was somewhat used to it when I moved down here, and that's what everybody said. They're like, "Oh, you're gonna hate it. You're gonna hate it." But last summer was my first summer here, and like it was bad, but it wasn't like horrible. I loved the heat. Like I worked concrete for years up home, and like I would much rather be out in the sun working. And that's what I do now. I'm outside working most of the time. I'd much rather be out there than sitting at a desk or something like that. I love it. It actually I almost feed off of it. It's pretty cool. But yeah, the humidity, it can be interesting. My job there actually, I'm lucky enough to where I kind of get to pick my hours, and most of the time I'll work at night, so not too horrible.
Yeah, man, I think that's crazy how you did all these physically demanding jobs while you're powerlifting. Like, in my opinion, I always had a really hard time with that. Like, if I worked a job like you're talking about, it would just thrash me so much, like I couldn't lift anything.
Yeah, I mean, through the years, I gotta say it's I don't want to say it's like gotten worse. I know like with my body weight, when it goes up, it makes my job get harder, but other than that, it's not horrible. I mean, it's kind of who I am, I guess you could say. Always been that blue collar.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. You
Yeah, I've had a couple.
Unique guy.
Had a couple of people ask me like, "Oh, if you think you put a little bit more into the publicity of powerlifting and getting out there who you were, like started coaching or stuff like that," it's just like, yeah, I could, but I still do love my job. Like, it's fun for me now because I've done it for 15 years, so it's almost like second nature almost. So where it's like it's almost easy. So where now like I can go out and work 60 hours a week and like it doesn't even really faze me. I get to go home, get to go train, get to go play with the dogs, get to go to the beach. Like it's just almost second nature. So it's just like even if I did, get along those lines of where I was financially stable outside of this job, I still think I would just get too bored. I mean, then who knows what kind of honey-do list my wife would have for me, and
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to that. It's already been bad enough in this quarantine.
That's so funny because I work at a school, so I got
Oh wow.
Yeah, they shut the school down for the year, and so you can see all these patches on the walls here. That's because right now I actually got another job, so I'm working another job at night, but we redid the whole entire bathroom already. All the tiling got redone on the floors. We stained the deck outside. We're going to the next bathroom. I mean, the whole entire house is down right now. And I'm like, oh my God, I need a job,
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I totally understand that.
So do you drink beer?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there isn't a day that goes by that I don't go home and have a beer.
There isn't a day?
No. Actually, when I was single, when I was living up home, I would time it. I'd do it all perfect. I buy one 12-pack of 16-ounce cans and 2 cans of Skull Straight every night on my way home from work. And then every single night. And then by the time the weekend come around, I wouldn't have to go buy more beer because my fridge was already still packed up from all the beer left over from the week. So I just have beer for the whole weekend. And it worked out perfect. Yeah, a little set routine. Walk in there with $22.15 because I knew exactly what it was.
Do they have these out there? I've been drinking these Bubble Stash IPAs. They probably don't have these out there, huh?
No. I've heard of Bubble Stash, though. It looks pretty good. I'm not. I like IPAs, but I'm mostly about quantity, not quality.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, like here in Oregon, there's just nothing but breweries like everywhere. So,
I could imagine, yeah.
Trying all the different beers out. You know, my boss actually owns a brewery right in Grants Pass, which is like 20 miles north of where I'm at. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
There's actually a couple breweries that I work for. They're like their delivery trucks and whatnot. So I go in there. I've got a couple grand tours, and they're like, "Hey, you want to try a beer?" I'm like, "Let me come back in my car. You really can't drink in the work trucks, but I'll definitely come back." And there's actually one that's like right down the block. They got a big bar outside. They like have live music on Friday night. It's pretty cool. And then you like walk through the brewery, like see all the how it's done and stuff like that. It's pretty fascinating. Pretty cool.
So you said, how much do you weigh?
Right now, yesterday I woke up at 369.
369?
So about 370.
And so you said before competition, there, sweet piece of that.
I don't know what the heck's going on here, guys.
It's all good, man. We kept it going and figured it out. So I'm glad we got you back, man.
Difficulties.
The fans will be like, "Oh, I gotta skip this part without Pete in it."
Yeah, right.
I just don't want to watch.
Good Lord.
So you were saying, Dan, you said, what do you go up to? Are you going to push it up to a higher body weight at all? Or do you like that or what?
Nah, I've never really thought about that too much. Like, since I got out of the 308, like, class weight, I've always been like, I really don't care where my body weight's at as long as I keep getting stronger. And for the meet I did in November, I was actually at my highest I've ever been at. It was 402 is what I weighed in at. But it usually, when I get late in the peaks, there's a lot of water retention and stuff like that that's holding on to a little bit extra for me. Then the meet I did in February was 384. So, I mean, of course, now that I've been working a lot more and it's getting a lot hotter down here, I noticed it's been coming off me really quick. Right now, I'm drinking like 2 gallons of water a day, and I feel like I'm still somewhat dehydrated at the point. But other than that, I don't think I'll get a bunch more above 400. If I do, I don't think that'd be real healthy for me. Even then, in November when I was, it wasn't too comfortable. I've been around 370 for the last 4 years now, and I've been dabbling in the area. I'd always go up and come back down, or go up and come back down. And if I stay around 370, I'm pretty comfortable. And I sleep well and get around pretty well too, so I don't mind that at all. 370 is a happy place for me, I guess.
Do you do it? Can you hear all right, Pete?
I can't see you guys.
Yeah, we can't see you either. I don't know how to turn on your camera, or I don't know what's going on with that.
Hold on.
But do you do at all, Dan? Do you do that? I was listening to Dave Tate talk about how to eat top ramen with tons of salt or whatever on it, tons of flavoring. They swell up.
No, not at all. No, I've talked because I was planning on doing the Kern here. It's supposed to be next week, and their top payout was for Wilkes. So I've been throwing around a little bit with some of my training partners about trying to do like a little water cut, just see what I can get down to and be comfortable. Because the last time I was in 308 weight class, I cut 40 pounds for it. So I was just sitting at like 340, and I was cutting down to 308. And I had some Pete Rubish techniques, sitting in the hot bathtub and doing all that kind of stuff just to sweat it all out. So, I mean, I've dabbled with it to where I know how my body reacts and I know kind of what works for me, but I don't really try to press anything like that. I think it's too much to kind of gamble with. The last time I cut, the same week, I cut 43 pounds for me, and I hit only my openers. And I was so pissed off that I got into another meet the very next weekend. It didn't cut at all. And, I hit. My openers was 2,200, and that very next meet, I hit. Sorry about that. I hit 2,300. So I was like, "There's no point in me cutting now." Like all I care about is the weight on the bar.
How did you cut 43 pounds?
Little water manipulation, and I think the last time was like 11 hours in the sauna, where you go in like 15 minutes, and you come back out 15 minutes, and you just, eventually you stop sweating, and then you start throwing up a little liquid, liquid citrate or some kind of citrate juice that you can get at Walgreens. Makes you flush everything out of you pretty well. I did that for a little while, but I would do it in like 11 hours too. So like, do
40
like the
pounds?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You cut 40 pounds in 11 hours?
I was like, just over a day and a half. Yeah. So it was really like 36 hours.
Holy crap, man. Probably felt like that.
Yeah, it was bad. Like right before that, I was at work. It was the day before we were leaving for the meet, and I like passed out, and my dad's standing over me, like pouring a Powerade down my throat, and I'm like, "No, cut it out! Like you got to stop!" And like I'm coming to, and I'm like, he's like, "You need to drink something." I was like, "No, I'm fine. Like just leave me alone." It's just like, it's tough. The sauna is a real big mental game, so it's tough. Just how bad you want it.
Yeah, I've had some meets where the biggest I cut was like 29 pounds in about 5 days, and I felt like that. It was the worst cut ever. I actually performed okay, but like I just remember, that night before weigh-ins, I felt like I was gonna pass out. Just there was nothing in my body at all. Just absolutely depleted. A trick I like to use though is like the night before weigh-in, if you're doing pretty well and you're feeling super depleted, just eat like a thing of candy. So eat like some Sour Punch straws or Sour Patch Kids, and it won't put weight on you, but it'll bring your blood sugar back up.
Yeah. So then you can recomp all the stuff right after weigh-ins. No, I did that too, and then like I was doing IV bags and like I would put salt in my water then after I weighed in just to try to hold on to some more electrolytes and stuff like that. But I think it was 2016 was really like the last time I did it, and then I just started going super heavyweight. I was like kind of when the walls of Jericho fell, I guess you could say, because I just went from like 330 to 370 right now. It was like game changer.
Man, I wonder at what point you die.
Well, I hope I never got close to that. But
I imagine you probably did, because I can't understand 40 pounds of weight cutting like that. That sounds so insane.
Your body's 75% water anyways. A gallon of water weighs 8 pounds. So it's relatively like 4 or 5 gallons of water.
How much do you think you could cut then, if you had to?
Oh, right now, it really just depends on like your body fat in general, because your fat cells hold on to the water a lot more than your lean muscle mass would. So right now, like I bet I could probably get down to 340, 330 pretty easily if I manipulated right. But I don't really want to try to. It's not fun.
So you were 370 when you cut the 40 pounds?
No, I was at 350 and I cut to 308.
Okay, so 350 to 308. What is that? That's like 12%, I believe. Yeah, 12% body weight you cut. Now they say anything over a 10% cut is extremely dangerous. So congratulations, you cut well.
Yeah, living on the edge. I told you, I was stupid back in the day.
I did. Have you guys ever used Himalayan bath salts before?
Yeah.
You did?
I have not, but
That's what I did that for a fight once. I was fighting it. It was the only one time I fought at 185, and I used this Himalayan bath salts, and it makes sure you just get the bathtub like scorching hot, as hot as you can stand it, and then you pour this Himalayan bath salt in, and you lay in it, and it actually makes your heart rate go really high for some reason. I have no idea why. And it makes you sweat like crazy. So you sweat, and you get out, wipe the sweat off, and you get back in. And I did that, and I made weight, but I felt like I was gonna die or something. I mean, I literally I felt like I was too weak to get out of the water. Like the water was trapping me like a little ant that gets trapped in the water. I was like, I'm gonna die in this bathtub, you know. And I stopped. After that, I was like, I'm not doing this weight cutting stuff. I don't do it.
Yeah, all it takes is one bad one to make you not want to do it again.
Yeah, I would think.
I mean, I know.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I know you can't say. I don't know what's going on with that, but I know one thing. Like, it's the heat that makes your heart rate go through the roof when you're in a weight cut. So, like the hot baths or the sauna, it jacks your heart rate up like crazy when you're in a depleted state. Your electrolytes are all gone, and then your glucose levels are super low. So I've had the thing too where even after I replenish and gain my weight back, I'll be warming up for squats on meet day, and my legs almost feel weak and shaky because my glucose hasn't come back yet.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Where'd you learn all that, Pete? Where'd you learn all this stuff from?
Oh, just everywhere. There's not even one like main place. Just doing this over the years and talking to different people, watching different things. You know, getting blood work done, seeing how the body responds. So I just try to research all the time and learn more and more.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know about you, but I learned a lot from Pete and like watching his YouTube videos, or I learned a lot from Dan Green, like watching Kevin Oak over the years, stuff like that. So like, I always talk about powerlifters staying in their own lane. That's why like I catch a bunch of shit. Steffi Cohen gave me, like, she rode me pretty hard for a while because I didn't know who Jamal Browner was, and I was like, if he's not a super heavyweight powerlifter, I haven't met him personally, or I don't like idolize him. I usually just don't even pay attention too much. But you know, seeing like Dan Green and all those guys, and Pete and all those guys growing up through the sport and watching them, you kind of learn a lot of things. That's kind of the way it seems like it goes for most people.
Yeah, the sport is evolving. So you're always getting a new crop of guys coming in, new names, and it's always somebody new doing something amazing with the way things are now. So I don't think that's going to slow down anytime soon.
Not at all.
I'll ask you one last thing here. On a completely, I mean, you go ahead, Scott, if this is related, because I was going to go off on a tangent, but
No, go for it.
this is just random, the most random questions that come to mind. But like, Dan, where's your favorite place to vacation in the world?
To do what?
Vacation.
Oh,
Travel.
vacation.
Sure.
Well, since I moved down here, I mean, prior to living down here, Florida was always a place to go. But Australia was gorgeous. I went over there 2 years ago for big dogs. I really enjoyed that. We were planning a honeymoon this coming fall to Italy, but I really want to do more of that world traveling, stuff like that. I always enjoyed, like, we always go to Wisconsin on family vacations, or we go to like Minnesota, just outdoors type stuff. You can see mountains and the landscapes, different landscapes across the countries and stuff like that. That's always been super cool to me. But I always loved Minnesota in the fall. I love the whole Midwest in the fall. It's just gorgeous to me.
I can, agree with that. Like certain parts of Wisconsin, people don't think of Wisconsin as being very beautiful, but certain parts of it are. And up there by like Door County and the UP as you're getting close to the border. What about you, Scott? Where do you like to go?
My favorite place is, I haven't been to Maui, like I know that's your favorite place, but I like the Big Island. Kona, Hawaii is probably my favorite spot on the Big Island, but the whole island is just, it's freaking amazing, man. It's amazing. My favorite place on earth.
Is Cohen, is that where Waikiki's at?
That's Oahu.
Oh, okay, yeah. I went there my senior year of high school, and it was just like you said, just gorgeous. Actually, my wife has an aunt that lives in Maui, and they went out there 2 years ago, and she couldn't stop talking about it.
Yeah, each island is very different from the others. Like they all have their own feel and look different than each other. But you know, if you see them all, that's really what you got to do. I've only seen 3 of them. I want to see, you know, Kauai still, and even Molokai and Lanai. But the Big Island's more like it's got a lot of volcanic rock everywhere. I went to Kona myself. I didn't get over to Hilo. It's much bigger. And then Oahu, you got Waikiki, Honolulu, much more populated. That sort of thing. Yep.
Not fun. Right.
I've thought seriously. I've had this serious thought because like I'm doing 1 meet a year now, and I'm kind of going like trying to travel to a different place every year, a new place that I want to go to. So I literally, rather than pick my meets as far as like what meet I want to do, I pick where do I want to go. So I was thinking next year we do a USPA meet in Colorado, but I'm also kind of considering there's actually the Honolulu Fit Expo is in April, and I'm like, that'd be so cool. Go out to Honolulu and do a powerlifting meet at the Fit Expo there.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Something I've considered, but I almost don't want to waste my time on powerlifting if I'm out in Hawaii.
Right. No, exactly. Yeah. Besides the last 2 meets that have kind of been local, like I was usually like traveling all over the place, and the wife, she'd always try to make a vacation out of it. And like the first 2 days, like leave me alone, I got a meet to focus on. But then like we'd stay 2 to 3 days afterwards, and it's like, yeah, let's get out, let's see some stuff. Like, you know, I'm here to powerlift, but I'm also here to enjoy the country. So I totally know what you're saying there. I would definitely suggest Colorado in the summer. The winters out there are vicious, almost as bad as Wisconsin's.
Well, you know, Dan, I wanted to do the meet next year. I think it's going to be like April 4th around there. Well, just yesterday, my sister, this is another reason I want to go out there. She lives in Fort Collins, Colorado, which is about 45 minutes north of Denver. They got 8 inches of snow.
Yeah.
I don't want to snow.
I went to college in Laramie, Wyoming, and that's like another 40 minutes north of Fort Collins. So I spent quite a few drunken nights in Fort Collins. That's where Colorado State University's at. And yeah, it was a fun town. That town's awesome. But man, you never know. I think it was the 4th of July, 2007. Like we got a tornado in the morning and got snow that night before fireworks. Like you never know what's gonna happen out there in Colorado.
Wait. You went to college?
Right. It was actually a technical school. It was just by the end of it, it was like I told the teachers, I was like, I just want that piece of paper that gets me $20 an hour.
What'd you go to school for? What technical college to do what?
It was Wyotech. It was just a advanced diesel technology. It was nothing I didn't already know, but I mean, like I said, it was just another student loan I'm still paying for.
Just a technicality.
Yeah. It was fun.
Wyoming is a very underrated state, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
You know, the tallest building in Wyoming is the student dorm room at the University of Wyoming. That's pretty funny. Spent a lot of time in Jackson Hole, and that's completely underrated too. That's like a hillbilly vale. It's gorgeous. I love Jackson Hole.
Yeah, I never got out there, but I went to like Cody, Wyoming, and I went to Yellowstone, saw that, and I loved every bit of Wyoming. I loved every bit of it. One of the best states you can drive through, hands down.
Way better than driving through Nebraska.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do that.
Kansas is the worst.
Yeah, Kansas is bad.
So Dan, is there any old school lifters like Bill Kazmaier or anybody like that you looked up to? Like, you know what I mean? Like, or Ed Cohen, like back in the older generation?
Well, I didn't really get into powerlifting until it would have been like 2013. So, and that's like when like Eric, Stan, Mark Bell, Pete, Lehman, all those guys were kind of on the uprising. So was social media. Like, of course, I heard about, Kazmaier and Pujanowski and all these guys for the strongman stuff. And like, even like Mark Henry, how great he did. And, Don Reinhold, all that kind of stuff. I heard about that later in the years, but I didn't really like idolize them quite like I could with, the YouTube videos that Eric and Derek Kendall and, all like Pete and all those guys can put on. So yeah, I didn't really know about that until later on in my powerlifting career.
Did you ever get the chance to train with Derek Kendall?
Yeah, he's a riot. He's strictly down to business when he's training, but he's fun. He's fun afterwards. Even before he'd always joke around with us when we were going through training. But he's a teacher also. He had good discipline. The guy, he hit his accessories just as hard as he hit the main movement all the time. I think I watched him military press 500 like multiple times, and I'm just like, you're ridiculous, man. It was ridiculous. He's a good dude.
That's insane.
Yeah.
You're going to my dog, man.
He's a great guy. Real calm, real quiet. Never really got emotional. Good dude. Sad to see him go, but I mean, I get it. His wife wanted him to move to New York, and he didn't like the lifestyle anymore. So more props to him.
Yeah.
Is there anything you wanted to finish up with, Scott?
Yeah. So Dan, I know you believe in God because we already talked about that. You grew up, you're baptized Lutheran. Is there, what are your main values that you like to live by in your life? Like the main values that you hold, and what those place in your life, your values and how they affect your life and your powerlifting and everything.
I've said it for the last couple of years, like just hungry, happy, humble, and that's the way I kind of like to live each day. You got to be hungry for the next step. You got to be humble for what you've been through, and you got to be happy. If you can't live like happy, you can't have any kind of happiness in your life. Like, you got to change something to have some happiness. Otherwise, you're just gonna be a Debbie Downer type person. I'm a believer in God, but I also believe in science too. So it's a fighting battle anybody can go through. I do have faith, but it's just something. Everybody's got their different perspective, especially nowadays. I would just try to like kind of what Elite FTS's motto is now: live, learn, and pass on. I really do like that because I do like sharing everything that I have learned the last 6 years on a new powerlifter, or even a powerlifter that's been doing it for just as long as me but didn't know a few things. So the more knowledge I can share, the better I can sleep at night, I guess you can say.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I mean, that makes sense. Like, I'm trying to teach people all the time and learn more myself because I feel like you can never learn enough. And even like my beliefs, I'm trying to be a little more vocal about those. I'm not trying to push anything on anyone, but I'm not trying to hide that, I believe in God and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just trying to be more myself and not worry about what everybody thinks and get caught up in social media, because that was a main priority. I'm not going to lie, it's as short as a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah.
It's just trying to be a more genuine person, like you said, and, teach people and be real.
Right. No, yeah, for sure. I totally understand what you're saying there. And, like, the real people will appreciate that, Pete. It's not going to be everybody, but, like, you and I both know, we ain't here to please everybody. We tried that, we wouldn't get nowhere fast. So, but I think the real, like, been through the powerlifting stuff like that. You know who Dom Mancini is?
Yep.
You know, he's out of New York, but he's always real. And like I've told him that a lot. Like I've always appreciated that from him. He's always real. He always posts what he feels. And I feel like I know what you're saying as far as that goes, Pete, to where you can post and say what you want to say and like get that out there because that's your channel and that's your life and that's how you feel. And I feel like I do kind of hold back at some stages on what I feel, just because I don't want to say I'm worried about what other people think of me, but though I'm worried about the way I'm portrayed to other people. And I've learned the hard way. I can never be, mad about somebody else's opinion. Their opinion has to matter to me first. Or like the talk trash on social media, everybody's like, why doesn't it get you riled up like you used to? I was like, I don't care. Like I have to care about that person's opinion for it to affect me. So I totally know what you're saying there.
Yeah, man. One of my favorite quotes, I mean, because you just brought up science, and one of my favorite quotes of all time, it's Einstein. He said, the most incomprehensible thing about the universe is the comprehensibility of it. And so there's no reason why we should be able to figure out everything scientifically, Like he basically said, like, there's no reason we should be able to trust, like, the laws of physics or anything in the universe. There's like the order of it is actually evidence that there is a God. That's actually evidence that there is a God because it's completely unexplainable. And there's a lot of evidence that there's a God through science. If you dig down that rabbit hole, I don't know if you're interested in it, but I'm really into that stuff. But for sure, science doesn't explain, like what you're talking about happiness and you're talking about humility. Those are kind of more issues of your soul, I feel like. And science doesn't explain that at all. Not at all. It doesn't. But if you believe in God and you believe in, the Bible and stuff, it does explain all those issues. Like if you have a matter of humility or you have a matter of anger or hatred or whatever, all that stuff is covered in there. And I like to point that out to people because it's like, I understand believing in science. I think that's great. But also, it just doesn't cover those topics. Like you're not going to find anything about love in science. I mean, if chemicals or something. I don't, that to me, that's crazy. It's like, what do you mean? At least in my opinion,
Yeah, I totally agree with you. 100%. Yeah, it's a living battle that each person can go through, and I'd be a liar if I said I didn't turn to the good book for a few answers in life here and there. So I totally understand what you're saying.
Right on, man. So, Pete, you want to sign us out here? And, well, I want to say thank you, man, Dan, for your time, man. We really appreciate it. I hope you didn't hold you up too late. You're not going to get home too late. Your wife's going to kill you.
It's all good.
Appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, no problem, man. It was a pleasure.
Appreciate having you on. I was trying to hold off Dogfights down here in the last 10 minutes, but we're good. We're good now. So got these crazy dogs. But yeah, man, thank you for coming on. I respect you a lot. You've accomplished more than anybody in the sport as far as your numbers and being the strongest person out there. So
I appreciate that.
And on that note, I'm out, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Good night, fellas.
In this episode, I included some special edition extra footage from an interview I did with Bill Kazmaier. It's highlights for you guys that are not familiar with Bill Kazmaier. Enjoy it.
My name is Bill Kazmaier, and I am the world's strongest man. Wherever I go, the earth shakes beneath my feet. I am the king of all I survey. I've ruled the world of strength and fitness for more than 30 years. And now, as a Mile Man reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper. I thought I'd never... Oh, shit. Wrong superhero. No, I'm Kaz. The world's strongest man. We did sets to 10. Before deadlifting, I did high bar narrow stance squats. High bar narrow stance, 300 kilos for sets of 15, and then did deadlift. Trying to blow up my legs, save my back with a high bar narrow stance, almost like an Olympic style squat. We trained really, really hard. We trained harder than anybody else. I knew that Paul Anderson only did 1 rep every 30 minutes between pies and who knows what else he was eating during the day, blood shakes and the rest. The volume of training by many athletes just is not there. The human capacity for work is much, much higher than one would realize. Like training in the stadium for cardio. I'm in Alaska right now, by the way.
Yeah.
And there's a float plane flying over, which I love Alaska. I just got out of the Alaska Fitness facility. It's giving me a membership. I'm in there cranking and doing a lot of wide grip shrugs to get the traps toned up again. And some extra grip work for this challenge coming up. But I don't really need to work. The strength is always there. It's the will and the determination. If you've got a grip on grit and perseverance, it stays with you forever. You never lose it. So, yeah, Alaska's great. You know, the measure of a man to me is how you react on a bad day. If you accept a challenge and you travel and you'll go and seek out others. If we look back in our strength history with the Gurners, Saxon, Sandow, Sear, Anderson, a lot of the guys would sign a contract. I think it was Sandow. That Sear could not come into the same building as him for like 10 years, or else he wouldn't do a show. So they were really afraid of competing. I'm the guy that seeked out and went to another man on his turf to take him on in his events with his promoters, his referees, and I wasn't afraid to do that. You know, as a matter of fact, looking at Iceland, I'm about to do something with Magnuson and the Hercules hold, and it's going to be a piece of cake. I'll kill him. But the point is, the same thing they did to him many years ago. I bitch slapped him like a redheaded stepchild. When I went to Iceland, John Paul Sigmarsson wouldn't compete because they weren't his events and his promoter, so he didn't do it. He held the microphone instead. Check it out and watch me shellac Magnus for Magnuson. O.D. Wilson went with me that day, and we competed. And you know, a real nice O.D. Wilson story. I love the stories because I have many of them. The night before the competition in Iceland, we had a seminar. 300 or 400 people came to a big gym, and O.D. and I spoke for a couple of hours. And O.D. started off talking about what it was like to want to be the world's strongest man. And it was a beautiful story, well told, well spoken. With his size and strength, inevitably he was going to be. I then took the floor and told everybody what it was like to be 3 times the world's strongest man. O.D. got a little bit mad. We drove back to the hotel, which was huge. He took the front seat of the van, slammed the door, walked through the front door foyer of the hotel, got halfway across and said, "Kazmaier, you shouldn't have said it." I said what, O.D.? He said, "You always got to be the best." I said, "O.D., tomorrow's the day, baby. Thin air an opportunity. You'll get your chance." I had him wound so tight that night, he probably didn't sleep. The next day, one of the events was truck pull. He weighed 450 pounds. I weighed about 330 or 35. I got down, scraped my nose on the asphalt, used my hands like bear claws, and dug in and dragged myself down the course in an extremely tilted, painful position. O.D. Wilson walked, pulled, with his mighty 1,000-pound squat, his great weight, and went down the course. I beat him by a lot. As the event Vince went through the day. It was obvious I was beating him bad, he and Magnus Fur, and he was going to lose. He took the microphone in front of about 3,000 people and started to apologize to me for the night before, that he had disrespected me. The problem was, nobody knew what the hell he was talking about because nobody was there. It was just between him and I in the hotel.
Where did you get that mindset where you would compete against anybody in their backyard? Where did that come from?
I don't know. I think, just think of the mental preparation for any event that you're taking on. Imagine yourself being with a boxer, a prized fighter, in the corner, being pummeled by a professional. How are you going to take him on? How are you going to react? You're going to come out of the corner like a raging bull, like a pit bull, like a silverback gorilla. Man, when they fight, they are fucking ferocious. The mindset and how you get ready for any event is similar, and not dissimilar to the way you look for a competition, for a challenge. There's a picture of me with a spiral of light above my head when I'm doing a squat at a state meet, where I was going to go to the regional meet a couple of weeks later, so I wasn't peaked and didn't want to lift in a state meet. I went and took my belt and boots and squatted anyway. One kid did a 650 squat, he missed 700, so I took that 700 for 5 reps. They took a picture of it, and above my head was a 4-inch by 18-inch spiral of light, a perfect ribbon. Call it an orb, call it what you want. A few weeks before that meet, I stopped at the YMCA at the pedestal on the entrance where there was a big black book open up. Some red print in the back, but it was open to Psalms. And I looked down, and my eyes were drawn immediately to Psalm 40. It said, I waited patiently, O Lord, for you to hear my cries. You reached down and pulled me out of a miry pit. You put my feet into a rock and established my goings. You put a new song into my heart, even praise unto the Lord. Many will sing, will fear, and will trust in the Lord. Well, I read that, and I said, okay, I'm in trouble. I'm a bouncer. I dropped out of school. I'm living in the streets. I'm damn near homeless. I could sure use some help and a direction. And so I accepted him then and a number more times in my life. One of the things that they taught me at the YMCA, they taught me how to squat. They taught me 5 things. How to squat, how to bench, how to deadlift, how to add them together for a total. But the 5th and most important thing that they taught me was how to put my head down, my hands together, and pray. And my prayer was really simple. I just said, okay, Mr. Big. What else can you call him, right? Make me the best. I'll be humble. I'll share my talents with others. One day you can speak through me and I'll work for you. Well, let's see, my records that I'm most proud of. 10 schools and wides speaking engagements in one day. In South Carolina, I went to 15 and 30 hours. In Indianapolis, I went to 18 different locations in 32 hours. Seattle, Washington, we stayed 3 days, and I went to 27 different locations to speak and offer kids a message of hope and inspiration. Try to inspire them to be champions, winners, maybe to be strivers, victorious, conquer things, overcome obstacles, and work out some of the simple things in life. I share words like conceive, believe, and achieve. But I challenge them to pick a goal, short-term or long, then develop a plan to get to the goal. But they've got to believe in the plan, believe in the goal, believe in themselves. What's achievement? It's simple. Desire, determination, dedication, consistency, and maybe a little bit of hard work. So, I think I was given the great strength and tapped into a supernatural power through the power of prayer for a purpose and a reason. And I often believe that a person's purity of purpose has a lot to do with how far they're going to go and whether they're going to excel or not. You know, oftentimes I would meet people in my life that would say, man, if I was as big as you, Kazmaier, nobody'd walk on the same side of the street as me. I'd be a bad mofo. Well, that person's really kind of messed up. That purity of purpose is one, think of a sailing ship out at sea in the 1700s, filled with frankincense and myrrh and gold and silver and whatever, everything precious. And the waves are high and the winds are blowing. Your purity of purpose is one that you're going to be selfless instead of selfish. Your your sails are pinned against the mast, and it's pushing you rapidly from point A to point B. Your sails are slack if it's all about you and me, I. And that's just what I've observed, so I try to share that with other people, and that's sort of how I live my life. I think your perception of your reality is your reality. And if you say the weight is light and it's easy, then it is. If you say it's heavy and it's hard, then it is. So I would continually say that I could do it, use the strongest words in my vocabulary, I can, I will. Empowering myself, repeating that again and again, I can, I will, I can, I will, I can, I will, I can, I will. How on earth are you going to be defeated or lose when you say 100 times, I can, I will? It's not possible. So it's positive mental imagery, seeing yourself doing something again and again, running the motion picture of the mind, hypnotizing yourself. And where was I, what was I, and who was I when I had that look on my face? Well, imagine in the squat lift in the strongman, tearing a hamstring, adductor, at 870, but making the lift. And the apparatus was really messed up, it waved around, and it was really awkward. I went 950, I tore the other one. Well, the next event is deadlift. Nobody knew him. I was hurt. But I stiff leg deadlifted 600, 700, 800, 900, 925, 50, 75, 1,000, 1,025, 1,050 with Ernie Hackett. I was really short and really happy to be able to do one event with me and stay with me. With 2 torn hamstrings. The following day, I couldn't walk. And I had to wrestle. And I wrestled with... Oh, that's Harley Davidson, ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful sound. I had to wrestle with John Gebel, and I couldn't walk. So I started to slap myself in the face and get a little bit wild and crazy. And I literally scared him out of the ring. Dave Waddington and I was a much better match in wrestling. And we fought like a couple of crazy Wolverines. He slipped and fell, and I fell on top of him. It was a bit of a Pee Wee Herman. I helped him back up and said, yeah, I meant to do that. Well, it just sort of happened. But that crazy look, trying to get into the superconscious, trying to really, I believe, and people, your listeners will probably say, yep, Kaz is crazy. I believe there's an electrochemical thing going on in your body. There's also something in forces that have to do maybe with magnetics, electromagnetism. The cerebral cortex is something that's really powerful. And if you can take that flywheel and spin it fast enough, that, who knows, 2 different discs spinning in opposite directions could maybe lift like a flying saucer. I don't know. But I do know that I had an energy in and around, an aura around my body that enabled me to lift things with ease that other people couldn't pick up, because I was generating a greater force. And where was that force coming from? The brain, the nervous system, the mindset, the anticipation, the belief in a higher power, and all that in a culmination of an instant, and bam, there it was. So here's one of the nicest stories nobody really knows. I'm wrestling with WCW, and Moondog and Rex, I can't remember which one was which. I went to press one of them. He weighed about 3 1/4. And I drove him up overhead easily, but he was out of balance. My right tricep came off. He fell on top of me, and I said, oh, man, am I fucked? Throw me out. He goes, yeah, you're supposed to win. You are fucked. He threw me out. He came back in. I beat him. I wrestled 2 more nights, and then I went to the doctor. The doctor said, well, I got to sew your tricep back on. It's come off. And he did. After the surgery, 8 weeks to the day, I went to Muscle Power Classic against Jeff Capes, John Paul Sigmarsson, Healthy Arneson, Mark Higgins, Jamie Reeves, and the whole group, and beat their asses 8 weeks after the surgery. I wasn't trained. I refused to wear a cast. I went in and beat them. At 12 weeks after the surgery of repairing a detached tricep, I did 242-pound log 38 times overhead. I probably should have done a 20-pound dumbbell 30 times. At 16 weeks, the eyes and the glare in Budapest, Hungary. I think it was Budapest. Yeah. When you see on YouTube me pressing overhead with a blue singlet and a log, and my right elbow is wrapped. They say, and Kazmaier is giving quite a glare to John Paul Sigmarsson. No. I set the world record. Thought my tricep was going to come off. That look on my face was one of fear and just thank you, God, for not tearing this tricep off, because I was trying to do it to myself. And so the misinterpretation quite oftentimes when people are watching an event in a TV program, they weren't there. They don't understand what happened 6 weeks before, 6 hours before, 6 minutes after an event. They have no clue what's really going on. So much of the television is skewed in one way or another. For World's Strongest Man, they always had 2 TV companies filming. One was for America, and one was for England. All you see now is the British version of Bill Kazmaier against Jeff Capes. They say, oh, and the bitter rivalry between Kazmaier and Capes is so intense. It's no rivalry. I beat him by 27.5 points. You can't have a rivalry. The guy was weak as snot. They let him squat 9-10 inches high, and he still couldn't do a world-class type weight. So, TV stuff, again.
Yeah.
In the truck pull, I'm just ready to go. They're about to shoot the gun. He goes, move Kazmaier back a foot. Well, what happens if you put somebody in a deep squat position in the start of the truck pull? You zap him. Mm-hmm. It took me about 4 seconds to get out of the hole. In doing that, I lost first place by 1 second. So if I go all the way through, and I tore the pectoral off. I tore it off. My doctor said, Bill, you got to go to the hospital. I go, Doc, see that banner over there? He goes, yeah. I go, what's it say? This World's Strongest Man. I said, well, that's my title. So see that trophy over there? And that check? Those are mine. And I'm not leaving until I get them. I'm taking them with me. 4 events left. Torn pectoral. 2 firsts. A third and a fourth.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't mess around. When I did the squat lift, and I said, these are the world's strongest legs. Do you know how monumental that was? The measure of a man is how you react on a bad day. You asked me which event was my best one. It was when I tore those hamstrings and deadlifted 1,055 and then wrestled the next day for the win. It was, injury after injury, tearing the pectoral off and taking the 2 first, third, and fourth after the steel bar bend. It's one of those lifts was that squat lift against Waddington, where all week long I had to hear, the man with the world's strongest legs, Dave Waddington. Shut the... just shut it. And I stepped out. I had torn the pectoral off the event before. I scuffed my arm up inside that rack. It hurt so bad you wouldn't believe it. And when I squatted that weight, I dropped my arm out. My girlfriend, fiance, came up and gave me a hug, and I pointed at my legs and said, these are the world's strongest legs. You decide. So it's those victories over obstacles that are probably the most meaningful and memorable, because quite often, and quite honestly, breaking world records in things, it happens in an instant, and it's almost just a glimmer, like a firecracker or a fireworks explosive on 4th of July. It happens so fast and then it's burned out and gone. I said something once that was, I think, rather eloquent, that imagine a world record as a white dove soaring beautifully with all the other birds in the sky. That white dove lands in your hands for the world record. Oftentimes, an athlete who's worked so hard, diligently, and given body, mind, spirit, sweat, blood, everything that he actually has and sacrifices to get that dove, has it in his hands. What do so many people do with it? They hold it tight up against their chest. They squeeze it. They start looking around and expect admiration and people patting them on the back and telling them how great they are. They're holding and squeezing, and it's mine, it's mine. In an instant, that white dove is dead. It drops to the floor. It'll fly never again. It's broken. If you immediately, within a nanosecond, take that world record in your hands, hold your arms back out, enjoy it for what it is, release it, let it fly again, another world record's going to come to you shortly. And that's a bit of a philosophical approach, but it's so, so true that too many of us cover it and go, I did that. No, you didn't. You had a lot of help and a lot of people around you.
The underground sound in a city or a town, the frown. The business of a crown, of the living that abounds, of the church and the announcements. It's doing what counts. The underground sound in a city or a town, the frown. The business of a crown, of the living that abounds, of the church and the announcements. It's doing what counts. The underground sound is the voice within, to give ear to the spirit and to flee from sin, to live for Jesus and the praise of him, by not selling out for the praise of men, to do whatever it takes, no matter what the cost, to keep pushing up the weight, carrying the cross, straight bench pressing sin, defend the word that lacks, and your best mention him, or then you gon' die. Cause the underground sound in a city or a town,